Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dr. Mohammed Deef, and I am instructor for this course, Environmental Engineering 101. Now, when you register for this course, you probably think you're going to learn about the basics of environmental engineering. Well, you will. But you're also hopefully going to learn something much more interesting and much more important. Learning how to think critically. Now, let's start this course off with a question, shall we? How many of you think adding a prefix like bio to a word makes it more environmental friendly? So if I add bio before fuel, does it make that fuel more environmental friendly? Let's just see a show of hands here. Okay, so that's 4 yes and 2 no. Okay, well, I hate to break it to you, but in the last few years, anything with green, clean, environmental, those have been used just mainly for marketing purposes. Now, my favorite example to illustrate this is the Canadian Nuclear Association. Now, back a few years ago, when I was in Ontario, they had ads on the television airing all the time, showing how nuclear energy was the energy of the future, and how it had a smaller carbon footprint than all the other fuels and all that great stuff. And when you saw their ads, if you didn't know them better, you see the green background, the blue ocean, the blue skies, little kids there, the word future, so you think, we're all set. Nuclear energy is the thing, that's the future, that's going to solve our problems. Right? Well, that's if you didn't really know much. But of course, they don't really address things like what they do with the radioactive waste and where that goes. Right? Now, unfortunately, biofuels have been marketed in a similar way. Now, biofuels, they are mainly ethanol, and they're mainly made from crops such as corn and wheat. And here are some symbols that they use to advertise them. So you see all this great green symbols they have there. Now, how green are they? It is true that biofuels emit about 20% less emissions than your normal fuel, like your car, gas, and all that. But that's only half the story. And that's what they usually use to market. Now, a recent MIT study showed that to make about a liter of ethanol, which is a common biofuel, you're going to need about half a liter of gasoline. Right? So just some simple math, combining the two numbers together, you can see that over its life cycle, a liter of ethanol will burn 30% more greenhouse emissions than your normal gasoline. Right? Now, that's just the environmental aspect. There's still another important aspect we haven't considered, human aspect. Right? Now, it's a simple fact. Over the last few years, more biofuel has been made. That's fact. Now, the more biofuel we make, as we know, biofuel is made from corn and wheat crops, which are used for food for humans. Now, the more biofuel we make, the less food humans have. Now, by simple supply and demand, the price of these foods will have to go up. Now, how high have they gone up? In the last 3 years, according to the United Nations, the price of wheat has more than doubled, and the price of corn has tripled. Now, what does biofuels have to do with that? How much is it due to biofuels? Let's see now. Well, a recent World Bank study done about a year or so ago says that over the last 3 years, biofuels have caused a 75% increase in the price of grains worldwide. Now, 75%, that's a lot, and that's going to affect everybody, no matter where you are. But it's going to affect people more that are living in poor countries, right? So these people can spend half their income or more just to get the food that they need to survive. Now, imagine yourself living in one of these countries. Half your income is already just to buy food. And all of a sudden, the price of wheat or corn in a year increases by 75%. Now, what are people in your country going to do? Unfortunately, that's going to lead to more stealing, more riots, more chaos, more crimes, just for people to get food. So the recent trend in increasing of making biofuels in the US and Europe has unfortunately led to destabilizing some of these countries. And some riots have gone in these countries in the last few years. Now, in conclusion, seeing one of these signs doesn't mean it's environmental, right? So next time you look at this, you look at the life cycle. See where these fuels came from. And you also don't neglect the impact it has on humans, because that's also a very important aspect. Now, as engineers of the future, you have to think critically. Just don't just take what other people just say. I'd like to conclude this small lecture with a quote Mencken said: "Men become civilized not in proportion to their willingness to believe, but in their readiness to doubt." Now, hopefully, some of you will come something from this lecture, and thank you. My ending